It is time for a best of 5 series of top-level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Zerg versus Protoss, where map number 1 is good old Botanica. Now, spawning right here in the top left-hand corner, playing with the red Zerg pieces, we're looking inside of the main base of Solar. Down at the bottom right, playing in blue, playing with Protoss, we have Creator. This particular best of 5 was played, well, as of me casting it, very recently at the offline RSL tournament. So this was played over in South Korea. Both players were, of course, present at the studio to be playing this game. And I think it's worth mentioning because it does change the vibes a little bit. Of course, both Creator and Solar are very experienced, but there's no denying that in my mind, Solar has been more successful. I don't really know the exact stats, but he's been more successful at offline events over the years. And Creator, I mean, maybe this is kind of a mean thing to say, but the first thing that pops in my mind when I think of Creator at offline tournaments is him getting very emotional over losses. It's maybe not the best thing to immediately bring up, and maybe I'm a bit of a jerk. But there have been multiple moments in the past where Creator is literally teared up because of, well, his own performance in tournaments and losses that probably should have been avoided and all the rest of it. If you compare that, for example, to the absolute top competitors, the Serals of this world, the Marus of this world in particular, the Rogues, right? They are, emotionally at least, not really bothered by anything. Or at the very least, they do a very good job hiding it. They tend to, just play as well offline as they do online, but many players, they usually struggle more when you can quite literally see your opponent play. You're up on a stage, you have people staring at you, you know you're being broadcasted and all the rest of it. Usually that does affect player performance quite a bit, but yeah. Usually the top contenders in StarCraft are at least doing a slightly more decent job shutting some of that out. I can imagine it's impossible to shut it all out, but well, let's just say Creator has struggled with that a little bit in the past. Solar, though. If I say something mean about Creator, does that mean I also have to say something mean about Solar? Okay, Solar, for years at offline tournaments, not making friends here, but for years at offline tournaments, Solar was kind of like the middle of the game boss that you encounter in an RPG. Like, not the final boss, but like the round of 8 guy. The dude that will pretty much always make it to, like, the absolute top positions, but never really brings home the event itself. Solar had that going on for years. Now, since then, he did win a bunch of tournaments. But I think in a lot of people's minds, Solar is still certainly, somebody to respect, somebody who is extremely good at the game, but also somebody who occasionally just has to tap out in, like, the round of 8 to the round of 4 or so. And that's still respectable. But of course, every StarCraft 2 player, well, all of them are extremely competitive, and you want to try and win. Really, Creator? I was wondering why we were going for a Twilight Council first. He's doing a Dark Templar cheese in the very first game of this best of 5. Now, there won't be a lot of tells right here for Solar, but there will be some. Normal time for oracles, for example, to appear is about 3:35 or so, right? So you want to have your spore, maybe a little bit later than that, but you want to have your spores done by about minute 4. Usually Solar will start building them right about right now. There indeed is one inside of the main base. Now, coincidentally here, spore crawlers are also detectors. So even though this will be mostly useful against a bunch of they're mostly useful against oracles, void rays, all the rest of it, mostly against flying units, it will not be entirely wasted against DTs. I think, though, this is going to likely be Dark Templar into Archon drops. Okay. So let's see. Roach Warren already coming up for Solar. Third hatchery here. Not in a bad position. Would be nice if he gets a little bit of creep out onto the map. Prism, though, gets spotted, and that is big. Spore Crawler comes up over at the third base, too. Dark Shrine, though, is already done. And the question is, will Solar be able to actually get units out in time to deal with this? Where are you going to warp in, Creator? Oh, no. We're kind of on a timer here. Okay. 4 invisible men get warped in. And you know what? That Spore Crawler is just about perfect. I love the line of sight blocking there as well with the Overlord. If you glance at the screen, the Spore Crawler is basically invisible. Creator overextending a little bit because of it. And that was, yeah, for all intents and purposes, flawless. But it's not over yet. Oh. Okay. We do indeed follow this up with some Archon juggling as well. Third Nexus, though, has been delayed in order to pull this sort of thing off. Normal timing of this was about a minute to a minute and a half earlier than this. So, Creator needs to do something in order to not fall too far behind. But, I mean, the Dark Templar are still nice to have here in the shape of Archons. They can still do a little bit of, yeah, some fishing here against some of those Overlords. Maybe get a Queen. Maybe get a Roach or two. Ling run by in the meantime. Also defended by some Dark Templar. On the back of this, we're gonna go into charge, apparently. Okay. Creator taking a page out of Hero's book. Yeah, and Solar is gonna feel pretty darn good about the whole setup. It's still difficult for him to really judge exactly where to take this game. But in my mind, the scariest part of the game is kind of over at this point for Solar. Now, obviously, he's not even remotely close to winning. But it's usually those first 5 minutes or so where Protoss can just catch you off guard with some strategies, like, for example, DTs. And, well, Creator has put himself behind in order to pull this sort of thing off. So, what's the follow-up going to be for Solar? Well, we have Roach Speed coming. Baneling Nest here. And then also +1 Missile. So, I've mentioned this in the last few casts that I've done featuring Solar. But Solar seems to just stop making drones at some point and then never goes back to worker production. And the question mostly is, when is that point? Is Solar gonna drone up the 4th base? Or is he gonna already swap to non-stop unit production right now and do like a Roach Ravager Ling Bane type of push? He's still scouting, trying to figure out what Protoss is going for. But I think indeed making non-stop army here at this point for the Zerg is the right call. The Archon still being annoying. But this Zerg army is not to be underestimated. Baneling speed is coming. If Solar waits for that upgrade to be done, this could actually take a long time. Hallucinated Phoenix scouts that there's no Spire or anything along those lines coming across the map, but obviously with an opener like this, you just don't have a whole lot of anti-air. No photon cannons in the mineral lines either. No potential to make Phoenixes, which is usually what you really need to be able to deal with this type of, well, potential Mutalisk follow-up. Not the case at all. Solar is just gonna go for the good old Zerg Sledgehammer. We do have an Observer out front. In the meantime, the Prism has moved to the left. Solar, though, he's been making non-stop army for a while. Oh, this could be big. As to cancel his own Ravager. That was kind of funny here. Creator baiting it out. The Zerglings were already working away at those rocks for a while. Okay. Hoping to get a lucky hit, but Creator just sort of slowly chasing it. If you can get the Prism, though, with 2 Archons inside of it, I mean, you may as well tap out. Really not supposed to happen at this level of StarCraft, but hey. Solar's not gonna, at the very least, well, forget about the potential. On the back of this, though, yep, we have 29, make it 35 Banelings. Creator's gonna see them right now. Roll, roll, roll your Banes gently down their base. You gotta be careful, though. Those Archons are really lethal. It takes 20-something Banelings to kill 1 Archon. So if you don't actually blast through, this is one of those fights that can actually go amazingly well for Protoss. Now, apparently the problem can be solved with even more Banes. Oh, you know what? We saw a lot of Banelings just now going down, though. So many Banelings actually just fell to that first wave of Archons. What about the follow-up here? It's basically an all-Archon army. We have 10 of those bad boys. They're coming in from every side. Has Creator just got the perfect follow-up here? Wait a second. Creator read his opponent like a book. So not a single Archon has died so far in this game. And the losses on the side of the Zerg have been very significant. Keep in mind that Solar has now entered the non-stop unit production phase of the game. So he hasn't really added on any more workers here in a while. He is making a new hatchery, but I think that's mostly just to transfer additional workers too. We're gonna try it. So workers from the main base are natural. But we're gonna try and add on even more Archons. The juggling with the Prism continues. And you know what? I was wondering if Creator was making the right choice. But I should have never been concerned. He just destroyed that Zerg army. 8 drones die. The 4th hatchery is gone. First Archons are starting to pop, but it does not matter at all. GG. Game number 2. We find ourselves on the map Evil Heart. Now, usually, there is a limit to the amount of Archons that you want, especially on a map like Botanica with a lot of choke points. There is a point where the Archons are just sort of derping into one another. They're just bumping into one another, and the ones in the back never really get to do much. The Zerg just sort of overwhelms it, but... yeah. Creator apparently found a perfect opportunity to make the Archons still worthwhile against that type of Zerg army. It can be kind of hit or miss though, right? Like if the game continues for a long time and say, for example, Lurkers hit the battlefield, I mean, against some Lurkers, Archon Immortal is pretty dang good. Against a lot of Lurkers, though, it can become a disaster, especially on a very choky map. Likewise, also, against Brute Lords. Not very common in the current meta for StarCraft 2, but I've got a feeling they will probably become more apparent over time. Because Brute Lords really are strong now. In the most recent patch, they did do a bunch of bug fixes, and they also, because of it, actually nerfed the movement speed of the Brute Lord, and I kind of feel like most Zerg players haven't really found a way to reliably transition into them. Because if you get there, and that's usually the problem, but if you can get there, they are phenomenal. They're very nice to have. Okay. So what do we do this time around, Creator? Do we go into good old Stargates this time? That's usually what we see from Protoss. But again, this is an offline event. And you can expect that the players did spend a bit of time preparing for the opponent that they're playing against. It does make a difference. If this was a singular ladder match, the odds of a Stargate coming up as the very first structure are pretty much 100%. It's by far the most common build. Okay, we are gonna go Stargate this time around. But when you get some time to prepare, maybe you find some sort of weakness in the early game of the opponent, and maybe you find that like a Robo first or a Twilight Council first, like what we just saw in the previous match, is actually the way to go. Now, I think the early game, though, from Solar was really solid. Like, the scariest part of the game, like I said, is those first, like, 6 minutes, 5 minutes or so. Solar survived that with ease. And I guess it is one of Solar's weaknesses. How do I explain this? Solar is very good in straight-up StarCraft matches. Like, he's very good at normal StarCraft, whatever that means, right? So he's always strong in whatever meta you have, whatever meta we've had over the last 15 years. Solar is always strong in straight-up games. But he's rarely a trickster. He's quite predictable with his decision-making and what sort of strategy he follows it up with. So it is something that we've seen players exploit over the years. It's very different than, say, for example, the playstyle. Ooh, we even commit with the Adepts. That's a misplay. I don't think that's ideal. Although 3 drones is good. 4 drones is really good. 5? Oh, could have had it. Wow, still gets 5. All right. Well, never mind. I don't think he really meant to commit there originally, but that went about as well as it could have. Oh, Oracle now swoops in as well. Yeah, and this is usually the type of stuff that I was exactly trying to highlight, where Solar is phenomenal, where Solar is very good. Okay, Spore Crawler is now up inside of the main base, but that's not where he needed it. Apparently, we're cutting a corner by delaying the Spore Crawler over in the natural. Interestingly enough, I guess it's because of those 2 Adepts dying on the other side of the map. Creator had to remake those, so he did delay his own Nexus here by about a good 20 seconds just to, well, have some defenses ready to go. We even have an Oracle now set up for base duty. Yeah, kind of sad for this Oracle. Twilight Council, together with a Gateway. No Forge. Could be a Glaives follow-up. or something along those lines. It's very common to get the Forge going around the same time as the Twilight. Roach Warren, though, not something that Solar will skip out, unlike some of the Zerg players out there, like, say, for example, Shin. Shin skips it every second game. Yeah, and I guess Solar's playstyle kind of favors, as we have more and more drones dying. Solar's playstyle really favors the one-off type of games, like the series that are like a best of one, a best of three. I think that's where Solar really thrives. But when we're going upwards of a best of 5, best of 7, yeah, it all just feels a little bit suboptimal. You just become a bit too predictable for my liking. Where did those Adepts go? They must have gotten surrounded by the Zerglings. Where's the Adept that was on base duty? Apparently the base duty, yeah, Oracle also did go across the map. Stalkers over here? Not in a great spot. We do have Blink, by the way, but no Forge. So I'm not sure where the Forge is at. This may actually change things a little bit here for Solar. Good bit of damage done, but 15 drones. 15 drones is way too much. 15 drones. Roach Warren that is likely not going to be needed. So that's another 150 minerals, plus the cost of the drone itself in that particular structure. It's going to be Hydraling instead. Now, reducing the Stalker numbers is nice, though. Creator decides to just give it a try. 4 Stalkers down is annoying. And it may very well fall flat on its face. I think it wants to go for like a Stalker all-in on the back of this. That's why we've skipped out the Forge. But starting the aggression with 4 Stalkers down than you meant to be is kind of a lot. Okay, we're still doubling down. Hydras are really quite good, by the way. If you have the overwhelming numbers, Hydras do destroy basically any gateway unit. Maybe not so much Zealots, but against Stalkers, they aren't bad. Well, let's see. I don't know if I like this follow-up, though, from Creator too much. Like, he was in a really good spot, but now he's basically risking it. I feel like this is unnecessary, but yeah, this is still Solar now executing a build order off of a bigger economy than the Protoss player has. The proxy gate, of course, makes it very committed. Solar has scouted it. Still, we did see that game not too long ago, right? Where it was indeed mass Stalker. When was this? Was this Creator against Lambo? I think it was Creator versus Lambo, if I recall correctly. Where it was Stalkers, and then more Stalkers, and then more Stalkers, and then more Stalkers. And then slow Zealots. He never got charged. Yeah, we're doing the same thing again. I thought for a second that was a different Zerg player, or a different Protoss player, rather, but that must have been Creator too. It's honestly kind of a sick style. Oh, he blinks in. It's honestly kind of a sick style, but you do have to have the slightly bigger eco. That has me a bit concerned in this instance, because this is not Creator leading the game with 15 workers anymore. Losing those probes on the other side of the map, losing a handful of Stalkers before this aggression began, it is making all of this so much more manageable for Solar. It's that little Zergling run-by, man. That little Zergling counterattack that makes this game viable for the Zerg here. Otherwise, I think this game would have been over by now. Still, the dancing will continue. Now the Hydras are fully upgraded. There's no Roaches, by the way. That was what Lambo decided to go for in this instance, where he went just mass Roach, and the Roach DPS is just not quite high enough to really contest this sort of thing. I don't understand why Creator plays this build, but then doesn't get charged, and I don't understand how he finds himself now with 1,000 minerals almost in the bank. This is an 8 gate. Why are we not, like, managing the resource income and the resource distribution a bit more? We have 8 idle workers inside of the main, and that is making all of this so much harder. Honestly, not a bad strategy here from Creator, but the execution, it can certainly be improved upon. And just like that, we find ourselves on the map. A Winter Madness. StarCraft 2 is a delicate game. Little misplays, little macro slip-ups. Little counterattacks that deal more damage than we're meant to do. It sometimes nullifies whatever all-in you want to go for. Yeah. Creator winning the early game was nice for him. But then Solar getting the damage done with the counterattack. Creator doubling down on the all-in and still going mass Stalker. And then, well, not just microing more aggressively than he really needed to, but also not managing the economy at the same time whilst being the aggressor. All of it was just a little bit too much. Mechanics can carry you a very long way, as Solar just showcased to us in that previous match. That really wasn't his game to win, and I don't think he's too happy about it. Sometimes you win a game where, yeah, the end result is nice, but the way in which you got there, very suboptimal. It's going to be a hatch into a gas geyser into a spawning pool here for Solar, who's leaving this second Overlord, the first one that he's built, close to the natural expansion, just to show whether or not, or to see whether or not there's any sort of cannon rushing or something along those lines coming into his natural. Not the case here at all. Supply Nexus and Cybercore, it looks like right here for Creator. Second gas geyser in the main base. We're going to have to see the pylon. Bam! There it is. Very important to not be delayed on that second pylon. Probably the biggest mistake, actually, that you see from... There's a couple of very common errors in StarCraft 2. Like, for example, Zergs hitting a supply block at 36 out of 36 is an absolute classic. It happens in about, I want to say, 80% of the games below Diamond League or so. Like, I've seen so many games where somebody is just hitting a supply block at 36 out of 36. And it happens to me all the time as well. I've played so many games of StarCraft, but for some reason, the 36 supply block is just a very common spot. And I think similarly for example, Protoss, for getting the second pylon. It sounds so stupid. It's really not that hard because there's not much going on. But it is similarly also forgotten quite regularly. Not at the pro level, of course. But as a ladder hero, for some reason, that's the easiest thing to forget. Human brains are funny. You tend to be very focused on trying to be the aggressor or be the defensive player, right? And thinking about the mid-game follow-up and the strategies that you might be going for, and then you forget your freaking Overlord or your Pylon, and everything can be thrown out of the window. Well, it's gonna be an Oracle now again here for Creator. No Void Ray shenanigans or anything along those lines. Are we gonna commit? It's more links this time around. Yeah. Solar actually reacting to what he saw in the previous match. This time around it's 8 Zerglings. If I'm not mistaken, in the previous game it was 4. Let's see. Void Ray now. So we go Oracle into Void Ray. We do have 3 queens, though, ready to go. And because of the natural expansion not getting blocked, I don't really like this, yeah, as much here for Protoss. If you can, like, send a probe super early, block the Zerg's natural expansion, have those queens disconnected from the main base, then this type of aggression is way nicer. I honestly feel like you should pretty much always go for the hatchery block. Oh, we make the beam thick. You wanted to go after the Overlord? Okay, I was going to say, making the beam thick against Zerglings. Ooh, it's intimidating, don't get me wrong. Man, Prismatic Alignment is really not helping Creator here whatsoever. Adept still shading around, but so far, Solar is deflecting pretty much everything nicely. Can we kill this base? It could have... Yeah. Feels a bit late now. No, I don't think it's gonna happen now. You have like a 1-second decision time. Yeah. He's gonna give it a shot. He's now so committed to it, though. Okay, it does work out. But man, was that still risky? Good shade out, though. Cool guys don't look at explosions right here, although one of the adepts is for some reason going the wrong path. I think that means that both of these are still going to die. Oracle now mostly out of energy, of course. Okay. Forge together with a Robo on the back of this. No Twilight Council. Oh, no, we do have a Twilight Council. I was going to say. I thought I saw one. Robo facility already down on the low ground. So it does imply that we want to go for a different follow-up than what we went for in the previous game. Not one of those, I'm never going to stop making Stalkers type of builds. Road speed coming. +1 missile. And we do have a bunch of adepts here in the mineral line now. I don't mind it, but losing 4 drones... Losing 4 drones at minute 6, it hits very differently in the Zerg's economy. Like, 4 drones at minute 6 is whatever. 4 drones at minute 3 feels like it's the end of the game. It's literally that drastic. Like, I'm not exaggerating here. But it really does feel like it's a very different phase in the match. Economy here is basically twice as big, so much easier to replace. Templar Archives, though, coming up right now. And we do go for charge first. Charge first together with the Forge. +1 indeed is going to be researching. Fourth Nexus now in the meantime on the right side of the map. We have a Robo Bay coming up as well. Creator really mixing it up a lot though. Yeah, the time that Protoss could just do the same build over and over and over again, aka Oracles into Blink Stalkers, and then just sort of play from that particular position. I mean, that's long gone at this point. That's like a half year ago. We don't do that sort of thing anymore. We mix it up. We go for weird stuff. Same right here for Zerg. Are we gonna send some Queens across? Solar is very fond of this build, by the way. None of the other top-level Zergs really do this against Protoss. Yeah, but Solar does it all the time. Yep, we do it again. So he brings a little entourage. What do you think of that word? I've never used that before in a cast. He's bringing a bunch of extra overlords to to provide a little bit of additional creep. Overlord was busy working. Bunch of Zerglings going around the site. Fourth Nexus is going to be nice and all that, but what about this? What about this attack right here from the Zerg player? The early game was very clean. The damage dealt by the Protoss was absolutely left to a minimal, so what do we do against just an awful lot of stuff? And I think that's why Solar decided to go for this. He played a very clean start, barely lost anything, deflected all of the attacks from the Protoss pretty much perfectly, and now this attack is so dangerous. Queens are on creep. We do have a Purification Nova, really? We didn't even try to go into the Colossus here at all. Straight Disruptors, but Disruptors against Zerg are a questionable thing to go for in the first place. Immortal does not live up to its name. Queens are destroying everything that flies. Overlord dies to the corrosive biles, but it does not matter. Solar makes it look easy. Next up, we find ourselves on the Celestial Enclave. Okay. Is that getting, yeah, it's getting kind of stupid, isn't it? Yeah, no, maybe it's fine. Then again, I also did the same YouTube intro for about a decade, and nobody really got tired of that. I guess I make the same 4 jokes over and over and over again in my videos, and people still watch, so what do I know? Hello, everyone. My name is Loco. And welcome to the Celestial Enclave. Okay, if people don't hit the like button now, I don't know what else to do. That was my trap card. I activated it. Successful guild trip. Hatchery first right here for Solar. Yet again, it's going to be an 18 supply gas. The great split on the drones. Not a bad idea. It's actually kind of cool. Still so many people watching StarCraft 2. All these years after the game came out. And it's a freaking good game. Like, I keep saying this, but the quality of games still is going up. Every year, I kind of feel like the level that we are on is going to be difficult to surpass. But lately, the pro gamers have been going for so many build orders that are I think some people would consider it suboptimal in like 2010, but it turns out when you're constantly playing suboptimal strategies, your opponents have no idea what to expect anymore. And it seems that this variety that we see so much right now really has pushed the pro level forward another notch. It's kind of incredible. Especially the top level players, man. They are very smart. But then again, it comes around at some point, right? If you try to play too smart, if you try to really out-strategize your opponent, you might just get hit in the face with a Stalker attack. Like what we saw Creator attempt to do in game number 2. Or you might just get hit in the face with a good old Roach Ravager push. Like what we saw Solar do in game number 1. Maybe the meta will turn back around on itself again at some point, where all of those fancy strategies are going to be put back on the burner, right? We'll maybe bring them out every once in a while, but I'm kind of loving it. We see so much variety at the moment. Rarely do we see the same strategies getting played twice in a row. If you compare that back to, like, say, for example, the Innovation days, the Terran player Innovation, who was considered to be the least innovative player in the entire game. Anyways, kind of ironic. He would just go for the same build. Every game, every tournament, for basically years. But it turns out if you can play a really good macro, and you just spent better than everybody else, which sounds like an easy skill, but it really isn't. If you're just mechanically that superior, you can pull a lot of shenanigans off just with that alone. Nice snipe over here on the Creep Tumor. Adepts going into the main base. 6 Zerglings this time around. So game 2, Solar went 4 links. Game 3, he went 8 links. Now we're going for 6. Actually, no, he did make 2 more just now. So we do have 8 in total yet again. Overlord checking whether or not it's going to be a ridiculously early 3rd Nexus. There is already a pylon over here on the low ground. Instead, it's going to be an early 3rd Nexus. Earlier than Creator has built it so far throughout this series. I kind of like it, though. Going for the pylon over here, making your opponent expect the base would go up over there, but then you take the super greedy 3rd in the more exposed location. Because if you pretend that you're going to expand over here, which is a tucked away in-base expo, Zerg can't attack this with Zerglings, then if you pretend that you're going for it, I guess you may as well go for the full-size base to the left, even though this one is very attackable. It's already too late for Solar to react to it. Little plays like that, I absolutely love. Evo Chamber, by the way, so maybe Solar is going to be skipping out on... Yeah, I think he is. Skipping out on the Roach Warren. +1 melee really early on. This is how Shin has been opening up a lot. Oh, jeez. I thought for a second Brenda right there used the Frenzy ability, but no, it's just the glowy lights over here of whatever's going on. The Tastelope running around the map. Okay, Twilight Council together with a Forge now here for Creator. With a build order like this, though, Creator doesn't really need to deal a lot of damage. Because of this, well, incredibly early 3rd, he can get away with a lot of greed. And I don't think there's much that Zerg can really do about it anymore. 1 Oracle has been left behind for base defense. Very early on the Pulsar Beam activation. Cheeky little hit squad over here of Adepts. It's only 4 of them. Zerglings alone are going to be more than enough, although... Oh, he is going to commit. Don't know if I love this. Yeah, I don't. At least he gets the scout off, and he will see that the Roach Warren is likely going to be skipped. Blink on the back of this together with the +1. Ooh, don't lose an Oracle. If you lose the Oracle, Queens are going to go back into plane again, dude. They're going to be knocking at your 3rd base before too long. Solar does this time and time again. You make one little slip up, bam. Queens are going on a little adventure in a private jet. Honestly, he may still go for it. Probably not, though. I don't think he considers this too good of an early game to really be punishing the opponent with. And usually when Protoss does go for a really quick 3rd Nexus, the follow-up is going to be Blink. And I don't think that's really what he wants to be playing against right now, aggressively. Zerglings, though, on creep, are going to be quite nice defensively against that exact same style. So, well, we will be going for the private jet, but it's only for a group of links this time. This is an 8-seater, okay? The Queens are kind of big. They have to buy 2 tickets. Sorry, Brenda. But the Zerglings can, there you go, sit in there together. Fourth Nexus coming up at a curious spot. Zerglings, though, are unloaded. Cheeky little Ling over there at the front, too. If Solar sees this base in the top left, which he does, honestly, this could be incredibly annoying. There's going to be a distraction in the main base from those Zerglings running around. What about the push over here at the front? Okay, enough Stalkers available. Probes are turning their tasers to those Lings. But crisis management here from Creator has been excellent. Base as well coming up in a mirrored location. Infestation Pit together with a Lurker then, so we'll probably go up towards the Hive. Disruptor and Colossus. Dude, this feels kind of cursed. Making both a Disruptor and a Colossus at the same time. It's kind of like a starport with a reactor on it, and then going one Medevac and one Viking at a time. Technically allowed. Feels illegal. Yeah, this is also kind of an illegal run-by over here, though. These Zerglings with +1 melee do still hit very hard. And it's a lot of lost mining time. It's giving Solar basically everything he needs to get those Lurkers fully upgraded. +1 melee. It's such a powerful upgrade. He did, by the way, go Roach. Yeah, he did get the Baneling Nest, but he never actually got the Baneling Speed upgrade, curiously enough. I guess it really is just a full replacement of the Roach Warren here. So we see it all the time that Roaches don't get any upgrades and that we don't see any Roaches being made, and this may just be a similar idea. But because of +1 melee, +1 melee does benefit Banelings too. They do deal more damage with melee upgrades. I guess he figured Banelings would be superior to Roaches. Okay. Well, we have 2 Disruptors. Don't speak to me or my son ever again. What? Do Colossi have the exact same movement speed as Disruptors? Kind of looks like it. Hard to say. They have a different type of pathing. Okay. So Lurkers are coming, and Vipers are going to be out on the battlefield too. I think Solar's plan is to basically burrow those Lurkers in a location that is near impossible to break for Creator. Like, if he can get Lurkers over here, extremely annoying for Protoss to try and break through. Getting to that spot, though, is not going to be easy. Vipers indeed getting their nice little bit of extra value. Abducting Disruptors is really good. Abducting Colossi, likewise, also really good. He doesn't have a lot of gas, so he can only afford 2 Vipers at this point. Spending the rest of the gas, though, right over here on those Lurkers, and that is so many of them. Hydraling Bane into Lurker Viper. He did have a Baneling Nest, but so far he hasn't really committed to any of it yet. A rather passive game, right? Celestial Enclave is always a map where things do become a little bit more sketchy. Yeah, Fleet Beacon coming up right now. Spire also building. Okay. I'm assuming, though, yeah, that Solar wants to use these units aggressively, too. I'm highly doubting that he's just going to chill. Creator is going to see this coming in from a mile away, though. Ooh, Stasis Ward. Not bad. Do we have any Disruptors over here? We sure do, and Disruptors are still nice to have. Abduction, though, on one of the Colossus. In the meantime, there's also a run-by in the top left-hand corner. Good crisis management yet again from Creator. But you know what? Solar is now getting to that position that I was trying to highlight. Such an annoying spot for Protoss to break out of. We do have now more and more abductions over here. The Disruptors trying their best to get some decent detonations out. And in a very strange way, this is kind of working out for Creator, at least the defense over here. Yeah, we have the Oracles joining in too. They were low HP already. It's a bit of a mess. I really don't think we want to be killing Overlords, dude. It's way too risky. 2 sentries trying to tickle a bunch of Overlords to death. There's a very risky hit squad of units, but it got the job done. What about moving those Lurkers, though, towards the top left-hand corner? Okay, Storm on the ramp. is gonna deflect that attack as well. Creator walking on very thin ice, but it helped. Just barely. And ultimately, he's gonna arrive at a unit composition that is gonna be powerful. Nice hits as well with those disruptors. Normally, disruptor's not the preferred weapon of choice, but he's certainly got some value. Still, Zergling reinforced this rather quickly. Mothership coming up here for Creator, which, you know what, it would be a really nice addition to this army, but it's so expensive. It's gonna take forever to build. He's chronoing it out. A lot of resources go to that one right now, and is he gonna be able to hold this push? We do need more storms. Do we have some? I think we have 1 or 2 at the bare minimum. There's a decent one, but it kind of misses the bulk of the Zerg army, making it difficult, though, for the Zerg force to progress. Tempest production has begun. More and more Hydras are coming in. 87 workers, by the way, here for Solar. So he can basically keep this going for, well, the remainder of the game, for however long this is going to take. Those Lurkers in the choke point. Hydras are still nice as well, just to be charged at. Immortals not living up to their names. We have a Lurker going around the back as well over on the left. Solar has suddenly stepped his foot on the gas, and he is accelerating. And I think Creator is fumbling it a little bit. Tempest over here out of position, not quite getting the value. And while Mama will soon spawn the game, and therefore the series ends before Mama ever popped into existence. This series, it ends with a 3-1 win for Solar. Nicely executed. I don't think Creator played poorly, but at least in his final game, he just got out-multitasked a little bit, right? And part of it is due to the fact that that type of Zerg army is very attack-movie. You obviously still have to burrow the Lurkers, you still have to get the Vipers in there to abduct the units and all that, but that Zerg army works way better with full attack move than the Protoss army does, because you need to put the Storms in the right position, you need to get the Force Fields in the right spot, you need to hit the Disruptor Novas at the correct moment, you have to worry about where those units are located, because you have like 15 units in total, whereas Zerg has way more stuff. So, yeah, margin for error there for Protoss is very small. And then obviously you go up against one of the fastest Zerg players on the planet. It's difficult to juggle everything. So Solar ends up winning this one. But overall, a very good series. GG's.